Can any of my siblings adjust for my parents? I have a 20-year-old brother in the military. He's married. A 20-year-old brother, he's single, and a 23-year-old sister that has one child. Who do you recommend? I recommend anyone over 21 can file the adjustment as long as they're U.S. citizens. The 20-year-old in the military cannot do it until he's 21. The reason why the military is not a bad choice is if he's over 21 and the parents don't have a legal entry, you can do a parole in place. But assuming your parents came here legally, just either do the 21 or the 23-year-old. It really doesn't matter. And then even if they don't have a good affidavit of support, the other brother or the other sister can give a second affidavit of support. So anyone over 21, as long as they're U.S. citizens. I want to know if taking food stamps and unemployment hurt my chances of removing conditions from my green card. No, because when you go to remove the conditions from your green card, there's no poverty guideline requirements. There's no poverty guidelines for removing the conditions of your permanent residence. So you can go on unemployment and you could even collect food stamps. As a matter of fact, going on unemployment wouldn't even affect poverty guidelines. I got married to my American citizen spouse last February. I'm on a J1 visa, which ends next year, June. But even though I applied for a waiver of the 2-year home residence and sent a letter requesting a no objection letter from my home country since December of 2019, I have not received anything. Is there anything that I can do about waiting longer than the 90 to 120 day period, or do I just have to wait it out and hope that my home country prepares the no objection letter sooner than later? The other thing that you can do is if you don't want to wait on the 2-year home, on the no objection letter, you can file an adjustment with a hardship waiver simultaneously, that there would be an extreme and unusual hardship to your spouse if you were not granted the 2-year home residence requirement waiver. And then hopefully that would get approved. And if not, by the time they get to your application, hopefully then you would have a no objection letter as the backup. So that's an option for you. Can you file on your own after the 2-year conditional green card if the marriage was in good faith but just didn't work out? The answer is yes, but you would need to get a divorce. You would need to terminate your marriage, prove that your marriage is terminated via divorce, and prove that you and your spouse had a bona fide marriage. How do you prove a bona fide marriage? You live together physically and you have a financial relationship. What happens if you make 34 and you make 38 and the National Visa Center says they deny my daughter visa application? Are you talking about 34,000 or 38,000? Are you talking about you're 34 years old and 38 years old? And a big question mark. So please please ask that question in a little better English so I understand what you're asking. Good afternoon, Brad. My mother received the National Visa Center letter to pay the fees and go in for an I-130 interview. But she left the country in December 26, 2010 after living 18 years illegally. Should she wait until December 26 this year so the 10 years has passed before going for an interview? She never received a ban, but we want to avoid having to file a waiver. The answer is yes. She should go for the interview after December 26, 2020 and go with proof that she left the United States and has been living legally in Jamaica for the last 10 years. She's got to show up with proof that she was here in Jamaica for 10 years. That would be a much smarter thing to do. If she gets the interview before December 26th, write a letter to the consulate and say, I can't make it, please reschedule. Also on Facebook, hi Brad, I received an RFE for a suspected bigamy from USCIS for an N-400, which was not true. So basically, immigration is claiming that you were married to 2 people at the same time. I was able to obtain an annulment from the marriage of my country after the RFE request. Can I send it to immigration now? Absolutely. If you have an annulment, the annulment means the marriage never happened. As long as it is a lawful annulment, absolutely. You probably are going to want to have an immigration lawyer at this point because you're really arguing law now about whether or not you were in fact were a bigamist. My telephone number, it's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-529-5465. Internationally, the number is 212-227-8933. My husband filed a divorce last October 2019, but in Missouri. But I see the dissolution, my family name is wrong spelling, and my social security number is different, and my lawyer did not receive documents to answer the dissolution of marriage. Is that valid? I'm here in Hawaii in a same-sex marriage. What family name I'm going to use now? I think if you have everything spelled wrong, you're going to need to make a motion. It's not valid because you're not going to be able to prove that the marriage divorce that you have from Missouri is your divorce because you have a different name and a different social security number. So you're going to have to go and hire a local lawyer in Missouri to make a motion to the local judge to amend the divorce decree. I don't think they're going to amend it normally. I don't think you have to remarry your spouse in Hawaii, but you do have to amend the divorce decree so that it shows the proper person who got divorced, which is you. My wife's asylum is pending in court. I'm a USA citizen last month. I filed for I-130. How long does it take to approve the I-130? Your citizenship should take about 6-8 months, maybe with pandemic corona, maybe a little longer. Wow, I really sounded like a New Yorker there. Maybe a little longer, about 6-8 months. Once you become a citizen, you're going to want to file an adjustment and simultaneously withdraw your wife's asylum case. Filed for my daughter under 21, the I-130 from October 2019. How long does the process take? I don't know if you're a citizen or a resident, but if you're a citizen, a little over a year. If you're a resident, maybe a little over 2 years. I am abuser from my wife. How USCIS will verify that our evidence that's submitted for VAWA application? Well, what do you mean? How do they verify? They can check to see if your wife's a citizen. You have to provide evidence that you were abused. And then they will, I don't know what you mean by how they will check. They will verify the authenticity of the documentation you submit. That's what they do. I was expecting my interview somewhere around November, but what do you think this is going to happen with this virus situation? I think everything's going to be delayed. And I think everybody knows that. Would love you to do a military edition. What do you mean by a military edition? I don't know what that means, but if you could describe what a military edition is, I'll be happy to give it some thought. Just starting our immigration process from start with filing the I-130. Is it advisable to send all the applications, the I-45, the 684, yes, put in all of your applications. The 684, I think, is the medical. You can bring the medical to the interview, but you want to do the I-45, the I-864, the I-765, the I-131, the I-130A. I learned USCIS is waiving some interviews and issuing green card for employment-based and family-based applications. How true is this? I have not seen them do it. People have been asking me and saying these things, but I don't know. I haven't seen it in my own practice, but if they are, please somebody send me a DM in my Instagram at @realbradbernstein. Can someone who retired be your sponsor? As long as they have a good income, why not? Sometimes retired people get nice pensions. Concurrently filed for I-140 and I-45 on December 5th, 2016. The I-140 was approved on February 2018. The I-45 interview was done on June 2018. Case currently outside normal processing time. Advise. I would advise you to file a mandamus or start thinking about threatening to file a mandamus. I recently filed my I-360 and I-45 and travel documents and got my receipt notice. How soon will I get my work card? Hopefully in 6 months or less. USCIS sent me a NOID regarding my divorce decree with my ex-husband from my home country. How do I prove the divorce decree is genuine? You get it from the office that is responsible for authenticating a divorce. Now, if you're not sure which office it is in your home country, you go on Google and you Google Foreign Affairs Manual documents or availability of documents. That's what I would Google. Foreign Affairs Manual availability of documents. And that is a book put out by the Department of State in the United States. And it says in that book where they will accept an authenticated document from every country, including birth, marriage, divorce, and death certificates. My brother's going to a green card interview. He was denied. He got detained at the border and a couple discrepancies, and it's more than 6 months. USCIS is not coming to a decision yet. What may happen on his case? He went for his interview, but he got detained at the border and a couple discrepancies. How would I know what would happen on his case? I really got to get my magic 8-ball. And if I had my magic 8-ball, then I would know. If he has discrepancies on his case, then it sounds like they don't believe it's a real marriage. It sounds like he got detained at the border, filed an adjustment through marriage to a U.S. citizen, but their marriage interview didn't go well. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it didn't sound like it went very well. And if it doesn't go very well, then he may get put in deportation and removed. I received an expedited approval for my I-765 4 days ago. How long after they approved the expedite do they give me the AAD? Well, congratulations, because I don't see that happen very often. But if you got it, great, then hopefully it should come any minute. Expedite means immediately. But I'm glad that you were able to get it expedited because I rarely ever see that happen. I filed the I-360 last August and received a prima facie. My abused spouse recently passed. Do I need to submit his death certificate to USCIS? When they ask for it, I wouldn't just file it with the sake of filing. But when you go for an interview or if you get an RFE, I would submit it. Where should I file the I-765 and I-131 renewal applications under VAWA? There's an address on the application, the same exact address where you filed your VAWA adjustment. We've been waiting 8 months after USCIS marriage-based interview. The immigration officer left a voicemail on my phone last week asking to speak to our joint sponsor. Is this normal? No, it's not. It is not normal at all. I would call back the interviewing officer. The I-9 is verification that you're legal to work in America. Don't freak out. Give me a call. 1-800-529-5465. I filed for adjustment of status and I filed my travel document, but I forgot to apply. My work permit and my I-131 is in process. Can I expect to get a Social Security? No, you won't get a Social Security unless you get your green card approved or you apply for your work permit. So apply for your work permit. Can you explain special juvenile immigrants, please, and who can do it if it's a green card or you're a citizen? So special juvenile immigrants started out back in the 90s for children who were put into long-term foster care. They were basically abandoned children who were left for long-term foster care here in the United States of America. It's been used as a way to get children now green cards without going through an adoption. So the way it's done now, it was supposed to start as for long-term foster care kids. But the way we as lawyers use it now is we take a child who's under 21 years old, who is not emancipated yet, and we take that child into family court, and we ask the family court judge to make somebody a legal guardian of that child. Now, the legal guardian could be one of the parents, could be a family member, a friend, a stranger that person starts to live with. Anybody can become the legal guardian. The legal guardian can be a U.S. citizen. The legal guardian can be a permanent resident. And we've even done situations in New York where the legal guardian was out of status. The requirement is that the child, we have to prove to a judge that it's not in the child's best interest to be reunited with at least one parent, because of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. Abuse, neglect, abandonment. If we can prove to a judge that at least one parent abused this child, neglected this child, abandoned this child, and therefore it's not in this child's best interest to be reunited with this parent, then the person who walks into the family court would get legal guardianship of this child. Once that happens and you have a special ruling from a family court judge for special juvenile immigrant purposes that says that it is not in the child's best interest to be reunited with at least one of their parents because of abuse, neglect, or abandonment, that child is now free to file an adjustment application as a special juvenile immigrant and get their green card in 6 to 8 months. So really, if you have a child in the United States who is living in a one-family home or a no-parent home, that is the fastest way. If we can prove that one of their parents neglected, abandoned, or abused them, that is the fastest way to prove, fastest way for them to get a green card. In order to prove a bona fide marriage, is it okay to have one spouse's name on one bill and the other spouse's name on the another bill, or both names should be on the bills? Whatever, either way it works. You're both showing that you both live there. You're both responsible for the bills. I prefer that you're both jointly responsible for all your bills. That means you have an economic relationship. But if the way you work it out is I pay the electric bill, you pay the cable bill, then you can do it that way too. Can an H-1 visa holder apply for unemployment pay? I mean, you could try. The worst they'll say is no. But if you're applying for unemployment as an H-1 visa holder, you're telling the government you're out of status because you don't have a job anymore. Can my husband file for my kids even though I have a pending adjustment? Absolutely, as long as the marriage happened before the kids were 18. Sam Yemen can sue the USCIS right now for delay or have to wait until the coronavirus is over. I'd wait till the coronavirus is over, at least until the courts and immigration is open. Mark Mahabir. Hey, Uncle Brad, how long after USCIS opens your motion to reopen a case? They take forever. I'm not a big fan of motions to reopen. I filed for adjustment of status and I filed a travel document, but I forgot to apply for a work permit and my I-131 is in process. No, you cannot get a Social Security number unless you apply for your work permit or until you get your green card. I sent my I-130 already to USCIS, but I just received my insurance policy that has my wife on it, Is it too late to send it into USCIS to add to joint documents? It is too late to do it now, but you could bring that document to your interview, and that's perfectly fine. Never ever send in random documents to immigration unless they ask you for it. It will never reach your file. How long will it take to the combo card or your interview in a true marriage to a U.S. citizen adjusted in the United States, filed November 29, done biometrics February 2020? Thanks in advance. It depends what city and state you're in, but on average it was taking about 6-9 months, but now maybe with Corona could take a little longer. If I'm in the state and I'm getting food benefits regardless of the person's salary for 2 months, will this affect green card process due to public charge? If you're getting government benefits for food, the answer is yes, it will. My friend's husband got his visa through consular processing and is in the United States of America. If his wife, the petitioner, and a lawful permanent resident gets any type of government help, will it be a public charge? It is, except he already got his green card, so who cares anymore? How long does it take for a permanent resident to file for 3 under 21 children from Jamaica? About 2 years. What to expect in an I-751 bona fide marriage waiver? Have enough evidence of joint living and financial commingling, also evidence of emotional abuse, psychological report, changes of approval. What to ask? They're going to ask you questions about the bona fides of your marriage, and you have to come up with credible answers or detailed answers about what happened in your marriage. Okay, that's what you have to expect. Brad, if you got denied because your spouse gets public benefits, is there another way around it? Yeah, refile again and get her off of public benefits. Can I do a case inquiry at this time if it's been more than 120 days? I did my interview, but they haven't applied. Absolutely. Is it possible to win a green card case if your first one was denied and they got married again to another partner? Yes, as long as in the first case they did not accuse you of marriage fraud, because if you're accused of marriage fraud, then it's going to be very difficult to win your case on the second one. Question, please. I have my travel document, which must expire on July 25th. Is it possible to travel in May just for 3 weeks and come back? It is, but I don't know what airplane you're going to get on. The government's not opened, so I don't know if you're going to be able to go and come back on a travel document, not because there's a problem with the advance parole, but because of coronavirus and all the borders that are shut down.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.